Welcome everybody. So a little while back I played Xenosaga Episode 1 and loved it. I loved the game so much that when I was around halfway through the game, I had a feeling I was very likely gonna go through all of the Xeno series, which meant I was gonna have to play Xenosaga Episode II. Before getting into the review, I have a classic disclaimer. I actually did not dislike this game as much as the masses seem to dislike it. However, I am very biased on this viewpoint for two different reasons. For you see, I was warned and told in advance about this game's problems and was able to go in with low expectations. And also, streaming a game is much different than playing normally. Some of the bad stuff in this game turned out to be entertainment value for myself and the viewers. Having the privilege of the viewers giving me advice was also a godsend. Even with all that though, I was still nervous to stream and play through the game. Luckily though, an attempted anime motivational speech seemed to do the trick. Oh man. I'm scared and I'm nervous, but I'm also excited at the same time. The game we're about to witness today is the most controversial game in the Xeno series. Whether it be the battle system, the graphics, the music, there's not a lot of whole positivity around it. But I just remember the words of my boy Sawada Tsunayoshi from KHR when he was on his knees, beaten and battered, no condition to fight. He looked up at the monumental threat in front of him, who not only caused him some serious physical pain, but was also beginning to wear down on him with verbal lashings. As our boy looked down, his hands are quivering, his whole body is shaking with fear, and he has a sudden realization to the verbal beatdown that he's taking. You take the good with the bad. I consider every moment of my life to be a precious part of my life. What begins to follow after that is our boy recollecting his confidence and also reobtaining his hyper-dying will without a bullet or pill, even impressing Vongola Primo, who then unleashes our boy, Vongola Decimo. A DBZ battle for the future and the past then occurs. Ladies and gentlemen, my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on my sweater already, mom's spaghetti. Oh man. Xenosaga Episode II, ladies and gentlemen. Is this game as bad as everyone says? We shall see. We shall see. So the way I score games on this channel is with what I call the Holy Trinity reviewing system. I talk about and score a game's story, gameplay, and music, and then I average them out for the final score of the game. I'm gonna start off with the story. The story of Xenosaga Episode II. Oh boy, where do I even begin with this? I guess I will say that the pacing overall was a bit stronger than Episode 1, which is real nice because I already thought that the pacing of Episode 1 was great. But even though the pacing is stronger, the overall quality of the story is most certainly quite a bit weaker in comparison. There were plenty of moments that just felt off and out of place, like it was rushed heavily. There weren't very many answers to questions I had from Episode 1 answered either. But that's a minor gripe. I am a Trails fan after all. I'm sure Episode 3 will probably do a lot of heavy lifting in this regard. I will say the story was at its best when it was focusing on Rubido and Albedo. Some of the stuff with Momo and Ziggy was also good, but other than that, it was kinda like going through a blockbuster action movie. It was fun, but not really all that moving. Overall, I'm gonna give the story in Xenosaga Episode II a 5.5 out of 10. I'm going to shake up the formula a bit here and move on to the music. I think this section will especially surprise people. The music in the game for the most part was actually freaking awesome, and I think most would agree with me on that if you take just one part out of the equation: the massive difference between the cutscene music and the gameplay music. You see, Xenosaga Episode II had two different composers, one composer for the cutscenes and another for the gameplay. Yuki Kaijira did the OST for the cutscenes, while Shinji Hozoe did the gameplay OST. Both these composers have completely different styles. Yuki Kaijira incorporated a similar sounding style to the music by Yasunori Mitsuda from Episode 1, while Shinji Hozoe went for his iconic upbeat arcade style music. I think because I was streaming the game and not fully immersed, the differences between the two just did not bother me at all. I would love to showcase the differences for how and why this bothers many people, but all of my playthrough streams of the game were riddled with copyright claims, and I would really like to keep my normal videos free from copyright if possible. But just know that there were many moments in the game where serious and atmospheric music is playing during a cutscene, and then boom! All of a sudden you're hearing fast-paced arcade-style music. Despite all this, the vast majority of music from both the composers were excellent, and I had a great time overall with the OST in this game. I'm going to give the music in Xenosaga Episode II an 8.5 out of 10. Time to talk about the gameplay. Oh man, the gameplay of Xenosaga Episode II. I think the best way I could describe it is really neat ideas held back massively by a couple flaws. Sometimes it works real well and is a lot of fun, but most of the time it's pretty tedious. You can see the point of the battle system is clearly there, what the developers were aiming for. You break enemies with a combo of the square or triangle button, and then unleash your circle moves to launch an enemy up in the air or down them, followed up by boosts from your teammates to deal insane damage. And when this happens correctly, it's incredible. But in order to do that correctly, you need to build up the stock gauge on your party members. This determines how many circle attacks can be performed by a party member. Everyone can have a maximum of 3 stocks. Building up these stocks can be a frustrating endeavor. You see, the only reliable way to gain a stock is to use the stock command in a battle, which takes up a turn. If you are lucky, you may sometimes gain stocks by hitting the correct sequence of square and triangle buttons on an enemy, but it's not reliable. I oftentimes use this method in normal battles, just so I felt like I was consistently doing something other than using the stock command. Now some of you might say, what's the big deal? Just fight enemies normally then. Well, you see, here's another flaw of the game. The vast majority of normal enemies are insanely tanky in this game, so you are almost forced into doing the combo play I talked about earlier, which requires those said stocks. No matter how you approach it, the vast majority of the time you're going to have very long battles on a consistent basis, which probably breaks a lot of people's motivation to keep playing the game. But there is one area where this battle system truly shines: the boss battles. Since most of the time boss fights are just a single enemy, the build up and then execution of a combo is just super satisfying. Seeing big crazy damage being dealt like this is incredible dopamine. But most of the battles aren't boss encounters, and so the battle system ends up falling flat for the most part, which is a real shame and shamble, because this battle system definitely had a lot of potential. With just a few changes, I feel like it could have been legendary. I'm going to give the gameplay in Xenosaga Episode II a 5 out of 10. The boss battles really saved the score from being lower for me, personally. When everything is averaged out, the overall score for Xenosaga Episode II ends up being a 6.3 out of 10 game to me. It's definitely not a terrible game by any means, and it certainly has some nuggets of gold in there. But compared to Episode 1, it is absolutely a downgrade. Now, has this game discouraged me at all from continuing the series? Nope, not at all. I've already begun the playthrough of the next Xenosaga game, Pied Piper, and I wouldn't be surprised if shortly after that, I fire up Episode 3. I don't regret playing this game at all, and would have loved to show some moments from my streams of it for this video, not muted. But it is what it is. From my understanding nowadays, people will just simply watch the cutscenes of Episode 2. But I'm glad I didn't do that, especially for the music side of things. Oh yeah, the mecha battle system is a lot more traditional style JRPG gameplay, but since most of the game isn't on the mechs, I didn't really put it in the equation of the gameplay. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, check out my other uploads, and also I stream very frequently on this channel, so if you don't mind a little memery and dirty language, and you see me live, don't be shy, come on down and say hi. The classic is in order. If you have made it this far, thanks for watching. I'll see you around, have a good one, peace.